So in this photographic review, I'm going to start off by talking about the framing. So as you can see in this photograph, it consists of three parts. You have the cliff over here on the right-hand side, the railroad track right down the middle of the photograph, and this flat area, which could either be like a plain or a lake bed or salt flat or something of the sorts. And it can be seen that the railroad track splits the two drastically different sections right down the middle. And if you notice, the section on the right-hand side with the cliff is parallel to the border of the photograph, and the salt plains or lake bed is perpendicular to the edge of the photograph. So this helps to divide up the photograph and shows a significant difference between the different landscapes in the area. If we move on to the vantage point of the photograph, it can be seen that the photographer took the photograph from standing on the railroad tracks. Now, he didn't take the photograph from a worm's eye view or a bird's eye view. It's more of a middle point. As you can see, he's slightly elevated above the railroad track, which allows him to see down the track and off into the distance out there, which can maybe be a couple of houses. I don't think so. Probably just some hills off in the distance. But it allows a field of depth that to be seen in this photograph. So it links to the framing in that way, and that his positioning allows for straight lines and for a large field of depth within this photograph. So moving on to the tone, there is a large multi-tone presence in this photograph. You can see within the darkness of the cliff over here that allows you to see all the depths and the little cracks and differences within the rocks. And you can see the lightness of the sand on the railroad tracks that is also in the lake bed flats over there. And then you can also see the darkness of the shrubbery that acts as another semi-border between the lake bed and the railroad tracks. So the photo had to have been a longer exposure so that he can get that detail within the rocks of the cliff, but at the same, and you can also see that because of the darkness and the shrubbery. It allows for a smoother overall appearance. If you look out in the lake bed out here, how it's very soft, and but as opposed to the railroad track, you can see all the little tiny imperfections in the dirt, and all that allows for a good deal of detail. So the contrast helps to direct the viewer to look straight down the path, which was also accomplished by his vantage point and his framing. All direct the center of the focus of the photograph to the railroad track. All things considered, all of these aspects help to make this photograph what it is. And it's clear that the railroad track is the focal point of this photograph, and it's also clear that it's divided. It's more of a dividing point between two different landscapes, which is what all of these sections seem to point towards. So with that is my presentation, and hopefully it's an A. So